Good morning, everybody. So I'm going to give us a couple minutes for everybody to funnel in here. Obviously, it's a pretty wonky day to say the least. People are going to be a little jumpy because of what's going on here, and that's understandably so. So I'm going to address it in a moment and what to do about it, or what I think you can do about it, and how to position yourself. So let's just give it a couple minutes, let everybody funnel in, and then we'll go from there. So. Good morning. I'm just going to wait for everybody to funnel in. Hey, Yuko. Good morning. Hey, Diane. Good morning. So we have kind of a bumpy day here. I'm going to just give it a couple minutes, let everybody else funnel in. Everyone's probably, a little on edge, say the least. And then we'll just jump right into it. Now, let's just start. So, hold on one second. I'll be right there. Give me 1 second. One minute. Sorry. Okay. Now we're ready. Let's get rolling here. So let's start here. This is important. Okay. This is what's going on. And it's all because of a company that has an enormous amount of debt that they cannot afford to pay and don't have cash to pay their debt. I mean, essentially, that's what we're looking at. What we're going to find out is that you're going to find a ton of fraud. Okay, that means that people are going to find out that the assets that they don't have, okay, that they were using as collateral are not there. Okay, that's what this means. So, in other words, what you thought you had, you no longer have. So, what's going to happen is that people are going to have huge write-downs. Now, people don't know where those write-downs are going to be yet, and that's going to be a huge issue. Okay, we just don't know where they're going to be. People thought that this was contained to just China, and apparently there's bank exposure in Europe, which means there's bank exposure in the U.S. So opening down like this is not a ringing endorsement to jump into this. To me, it looks like off the open, the way that this is trading is going to be pretty nasty. So. You don't want to be selling into the panic pre-market. You want to at least wait and see the open. Then if you don't like the opening prices, I'd recommend moving out then. But this looks like it's going to spread from looking at banks. It looks like this is going to be, not just sell down off the open, but might go for a little bit longer. So you're just going to have to be able to deal with that. Now, if you look across, I'm going to do both of these, and then I'll take questions. So the IWM is clearly broken, right? So looks like we're going to break out to this is what we're dealing with now. So we're really going to have to see how this plays out. But I would be focused solely on anything that's higher beta today if you're looking to trade. So to me, this could undercut here, okay, which it's doing, and then bounce back over it by the end of the day. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for signs of a possible bounce after selling down. And that's where our focus is going to be. Now, I'm going to state this. I would avoid anything in this index. Anything that's in the financial field right now, you need to avoid, because they're going to have debt obligations and they're going to spread over into some of these banks. And you're not going to know where these banks are. So then when you're looking at buying like Goldman, you don't want to be buying Goldman now. You don't want to be buying Morgan Stanley now. You want to be avoiding any financial companies. Also, avoid energy stocks. Okay, and the reason you avoid energy stocks is really simple. Okay, the chances of tapering now have just gone down drastically. All right, and since they've dropped drastically, what that means is you're in a position here where you're not going to, the amount of energy that you're going to need globally is going to drop if this corrects. And that's what they're saying. So that's energy gets hit. So that's it in a nutshell. I'll take questions and we can go from there. And we'll just start rolling here. Hey, Dale, if you get some longer dated calls, would you be overly panicked? Depends on if they're out of the money or in the money, Dale. Depends where you're at in them. You know, if they're really out of the money, I would take everything I could out of them and go from there. Sorry about the coffee slurps, but we're going to have them this morning. So yeah, the SPY looks like it's going to open like this. This is opening like it's going to be pretty nasty. You know, I have stocks in my portfolio like everybody is. I have some down 5-7%. I mean, it just looks like it's going to be a nasty opening and there's nothing you can do about it. But, you know, I just want to point this out because someone just asked about this. You need to be really careful here. So let's put this in perspective. Like this just looked like it was going to break out and we've turned into a disaster overnight. And this, you know, it does happen. I mean, it's the stock market, but I just want to point something out between 8 o'clock at 7:40, you know, and where you are now at 8:35, you dropped $10. So some of these drops are going to start getting pretty excessive and people are going to look at picking things up that they couldn't recently buy. And I'm going to suggest that maybe we do the same. So we're going to really just have to see how this day plays out, but it is not something that I'm willing to just jump right into. You're going to have to watch and wait. But yeah, I think this is going to have more downside off the open. I mean, that's how it's acting right now. Let's keep going. So Tesla. Hey, good morning, Marty. Yeah, AMC, I'm glad you know, that short, I would cover the short this morning. I mean, I don't think you're going to get any better than what you're going to get this morning. If I was short anything, I'd be covering this morning. I wouldn't even be thinking about it. I would just be going straight through it and covering anything that I could. So, I mean, that's how I would view it. Let me just go through this really quickly. I'm sure we're going to get questions about it. And let me just realize, hold on one second. I have to put this link somewhere that I just didn't do. Hold on. Just realized that. So going here. Sorry about that. Yeah, this is going to be a really busy day. So as far as adding to positions and adding to stocks like Tesla, you know, you're just going to have to watch and wait. I mean, you know, look, I took a position in this, you know, at the end of the day on Friday, and obviously I'm going to take a hit this morning if I sell it. So I have to watch how that opens and go from there. But, you know, the chances of this being long and drawn out, we just don't know yet. We really just don't know how bad it is. And this is what we're seeing. And we just really have to focus on some things. So, you know, this looks to me like if you're looking at BNTX and you look at these names, you know, this may be a spot where people are going to look at adding to them, or at least what I would think is if you didn't cover your short on Friday, you're sure as heck going to want to cover your short today, right? So you might see some of that. You might see some short covering there. And we're going to have to see how that plays out, obviously. So, yeah, I like days like today. They present a really good buying opportunity to trade. I don't like coming in. I don't like coming in like this, you know, with the positions that I have, but it happens. There's nothing you can do about it. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Ethan. Morning, Justin. So if you have specific names you want me to go over, go right ahead. I'm just going to keep throwing out things that I think that you need to be watching. You know, UPST at 287. You know, we have not broken the 8-day and 280. So if this flashes down like to 280 or something like that, and this is definitely on my list. You know, to give it a try and see if it holds. It's definitely on my list. So I'd like to look at NVIDIA getting close to this 207 and see if we get a shot at it. So, I mean, they're the names that I'll be looking at today and seeing if I can get an opportunity in. And you're just going to really have to see how we play out. You know, you're really just going to have to see. Yeah, I'm still in Apple. I'll add to Apple. I mean, they're not going to stop selling iPhones, right? So, I mean, they're going to stop selling iPods. I mean, where am I down? $3 from the close the other day. I'm not really worried about it. You know, I have a small position in it, but we have an option position in it in the group. I'm just not sweating it. Like this one today is the least of my worries. I'm more concerned about the smaller cap names. You know, they're the ones you're going to have to watch because they can get super ugly because everyone runs for an exit. So when would you sell if you didn't like the action? After 2 minutes, 15 minutes? I mean, I'm going to be watching I'm going to be watching the opening price and how we respond to the opening price on the indexes. And that's going to make my initial decision on what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to watch how this exactly opens and then if we go up or down and what to do from there. And I'm going to be looking at high beta names like Tesla and seeing what they do. Okay, so things like that need to be addressed and looked at. I'm going to see how this acts. I really want to see how some of these, you know, again, I'll show you, but I mean, I really want to see how this acts next to the 50-day moving average. But I'm going to watch and wait and see how they act. And for me, you know, you're not going to be able to watch everything. It's just not going to happen. So this is about as clean as you can get as far as watching something, right? Watching the SPY, and then look at this. So you're here. Now, the other section that might take a hit, okay, is just the real estate. Anything real estate related might just take a big hit, okay, any of these REITs. And the reason for that is depression of assets. So there's one name that we've been trading in the community that we do really well with and have done really well with. This could get really ugly today. Okay, this could get really, really ugly today for no reason besides just this contagion spreading over, right? So what does that mean for me? That means that we have to put ourselves in a position where if this breaks, I might be a buyer of this. This might be something on a falling knife I'd actually buy. So, but I think an ideal spot, hi, Susan. I think an ideal spot for Tesla is 730. Now, I'm going to have to see if anyone agrees with me or not. But I think 730, I mean, I think you're seeing that already pre-market, right? You're already seeing, go look at the pre-market 1 minute and go, well, I guess we could do it here, can't we, since we're on YouTube. But let's go here and take a look. I mean, look where you're at. You're right at the 21-day moving average. What, you just stopped there. Like, look, you buy when everybody is fearful. When everybody's greedy, you sell into it, okay? You went right to that level and you held. Now, whether or not that holds or certain things break today, we just don't know yet. And we're going to have to figure that out. We're going to have to watch and wait and see how this goes. But this, you know, sometimes this happens. And there's not really much we can do about it. So we're just going to have to deal with, you know, the hand that we're dealt and trade. But I think you look at buying something like this. I really do. You know, I'm in stocks like this that are looking like they, you know, people are just going to like puke them out. For me, I may add to this. You know, it's going to be a very specific day, right? Like you're going to have your buys lined up on what you want to buy before this market opens today. Okay, you need to think like that. You need to have lined up what you want to buy before you even open today. And you need to know where you're going to buy it and what you're going to, and even if you take smaller positions, right, where you take these smaller positions and you do the same big positions, you're going to slice right through this probably, right? I mean, you need to hold the 21 here. If you don't, you're just going to come right down the 400. So this is a really thin name. Be very careful with it. It doesn't take much to get that down. A firm, to me, a firm's probably going to like come in a little bit, right? I mean, you're already breaking there. Let's look at here on, let's get another name and then we'll go from there. Okay. For some reason it's been glitchy like that. But to me, you're breaking. And so you're going to have to watch this and see how this does. It's not something that I am looking at going, boy, I really got to get in there. Not this morning, but you have to watch that. You're breaking. If you break the 8, right, and you close below the 8, you haven't done that since you broke out. Okay. And you really have to watch this level next, 102. But I'd be cautious here. But you are starting to see stocks start to move. You are seeing stocks start to catch a bid, and I think you're going to. I don't think this is going to, there's some real doom and gloom out there. I'm not on that camp. Just FYI. So I'd watch a firm. I would not be adding to it. AMC. All right. So AMC looks like you're getting right to the 50-day. If you break that, you're probably going to have an issue. Okay. So you're going to have to really watch how that trades. But if that breaks the 50-day, it's probably going to go a little bit lower. If I was short this, I'd be covering into this. I mean, you just got a gift. I would take it. I mean, that's how I would do it. Would I be buying this here? Absolutely not. No, you need to be looking at large cap names that have tons of liquidity. Because that's where people are going to be putting their money. Okay. That's where they're going to be putting their money. I mean, if you go across the board and you look at names, what names are coming in, but not getting decimated, right? Like this is down what are we down? 1%, right? I mean, we're hardly down, right? From where the close is. So they're the kinds of names you want to be looking for today because they're the ones that are going to bounce like super fast. The secondary names, the small cap names, not so much. HHMC. I don't seem to have that one unless I typed it wrong. HMHC. I typed it wrong. HM. So you're trying to break out here, and you just look like you're not. It just looks like you're not going. It's not going to happen. I mean, you failed here. You keep failing that area. So 1403 is your area there that you really need to watch. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't be a panic seller. Evergrande had problems for months. Seems like a reason to sell. A lot of people want a correction, but I think there's cash on the sidelines. Yeah, I think there's a lot of cash on the sidelines. Frankly, people look, you have to understand something. The biggest threat to the U.S. Markets are the fact that there's a taper going on. You think they're going to taper with this news that just hit today? Do you think they're going to raise rates into this? Probably not. I think you're going to see a lot of, positioning again with nothing getting done, governments hemming and hawing and going from there. But, anything else, I think you're fine. Something like this, sure, look, this might just do its own thing today. It's very possible, but open and get above this level right here, which is 1338, and you could go. This could absolutely go. So ASML, I actually like what I'm seeing in ASML this morning. Okay, I mean, look, I hope this thing gets crushed, to be honest with you, so I can buy it back. I'd like to see it get really hit. If, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if this dropped to like that 805 level, you're going to see a real issue there, and you're going to see some buying step in. From where this came in to down, every time this gets to the 21-day or the 50-day, it's usually a buy. We're a little higher off of both, but this is probably getting pretty darn close to being a buy again, in my opinion. I like the name a lot. So, yeah, the list that I'm looking at are all high beta names. I would be looking at I'd start with stocks like Tesla. I went over it in the morning, how I would do it. I'll try to go back over it if I have times. I wouldn't be removing tight stops, Janika. If you get stopped, you get stopped, and then just go back to the trade and take a look at it and see if you want to get back into it. You don't have to move stops, right? I mean, there's not I don't know what you're in, but there's not a lot to me that, that I see triggering on my stops this morning. I just don't have a lot of them that are going to trigger. So, but if you have tight stops on, just to honor them and then go from there. DraftKings, let's take a look at where you could be looking at buying this today on this. So, you're rolling here. If you couldn't get through 64, you broke down, you're breaking through the 21 day. Your major support line is 56.35. This is why it's so important to just leave these in, right? So like days like today, you just go right to it and you're right there. So if I get around that 56.35, which is possible today, especially on like a smaller cap name like this, that's what you want to be all over. This is what you want to be all over and looking for. Okay. This kind of stuff. So just consider that. There's no question about it whatsoever. They're the kinds of things you want to be looking at. So Evergrande, essentially, Larry, is a huge, we'll just call it a real estate investment trust. And at the end of the day, they're going to find out that it was probably fraudulent, probably very close to what happened with Luckin Coffee. They just have very loose guidelines over in China. And, the exposure is something like $600 billion for people that they had the debts to pay. They couldn't pay their debts. And so it turns out that they now have to sell out and blow out real estate. Well, it's just that all these banks from all over the world are going to have loans with this company. So they're all going to get hit. And that's what we're dealing with. And so it's something where we have to really figure out, what the exposure is. And then people are predicting that, it's worst case scenario off the open. And then people are predicting, oh, we're going to see a 20% correction. Oh, we're going to see this, we're going to see that. Okay, maybe, I'm just going to play the hand that I'm dealt. But I think that you have to look at this and say, what is the exposure to the U.S. on this? And the exposure to the U.S. is going to be pretty simple. It's going to be that, the treasury market's going to take a hit. And the treasury market's going to take a hit because China's going to give Evergrande U.S. treasury bonds to booster itself up while it sorts the mess out. So I hope that's clear. If not, I can clear it up more. I mean, in between that group of stocks, it's pretty simple. I mean, I like CELH, but it's getting killed. So the questions you're going to have to ask yourself are, do I want to buy something that looks like it's going to get absolutely slaughtered today? Or do I want to buy something that looks like it can bounce today, right? That's not selling off much. To me, looking at these, what I always do on days like today, and it seems to do okay, is the UPSTs of the world, the Asans of the world, they're usually the ones that bounce first, okay? They're the ones that people wanted to get in and were unable to, right? And so something like this coming down even more than here, like coming down like 10, that's going to have my interest, okay? And that's really how you have to look at it. Like something like this coming down like $10 would have my interest. Something like UPST coming down like $20, from here, you're going to have my interest. That's what I'm looking for. I'm more interested in those. Again, I'm just caveat. I own this and the CELH, and I'm down in it. So, it is what it is. I mean, it happens. But what you're going to see is like the contagion is going to just keep going into these banks, right? Like these banks are going to they're going to get hit. So, you just have to keep that in mind. I got to remember to click off that. Hey, Raj. So, no, I mean, I wouldn't be getting into this. Anything that's below its 50-day moving average that has a low relative strength is not going to see a ton of action today. So I would not be getting into this. You're rejecting here. I understand it's rejecting because of this day. And you had a decent close the other day, right? You're down 10 points. If you got to this 183, 184 level, we have drawn here, you could. And some people might actually buy this 8-day moving average. So, I mean, you might be actually able to give this a try because you are down $10. This may work, actually, the more I look at it. So what you would do is just make sure that you hold this 8-day moving average. And you should hold the 184 level. And then you just have to wait for it to slowly grind up. Yeah, you need to wait until they stabilize a little bit and then go from there. No one knows how long this lasts. I would not deploy all my cash off the open. I definitely wouldn't be doing that. What I would be doing is adding to positions and then seeing if those positions are working. I mean, this is pretty much like portfolio management 101. Like, you do not like bet the farm at 9:30 when we open in 30 minutes here. You kind of scale into your position. So in other words, if there's something you want to buy, you buy it. Maybe you buy a half size position in regards to what you would usually buy because there's going to be volatility associated with it, right? And then what you do is you let it play itself out. A couple of those trades work, and then you start adding to other trades, and you start moving your stops up, right, to protect yourself. But that's how you trade this. You don't just buy everything off the open. That's not going to work very well. But no one knows how long it lasts. It could be the open and it be over, but it doesn't seem that way. VNOM. So Viper Energy Partners, 20, 25 minutes. I mean, anything energy related, I think, is going to take a hit. That's just my opinion. I don't know what this is going to do today, but I don't think it's unrealistic to see this come back down to the 1882 level. And if you were looking at trying to buy it, that's where I would take a look at it. So let's just keep going here. Hey, Terry, is TXM going to come lower possible short area? I would not be shorting into this. So you're past the shorting opportunity, in my opinion. Like, you've had your opportunity to short. It was last week. It didn't happen. You missed it. I don't think there's any real money to be made here shorting the market here at all. I'm not of this school of thought where people are, there's an analyst out of Morgan Stanley calling for a 10% or 20% correction right now. I don't foresee that at all. I don't see anything like that. I mean, maybe he's right. Maybe it does happen, but I just don't see it. That's a bear market. I don't see us going into a bear market. I see where we could take a hit here, and we could, things could come in, but we're going to just have to see how the whole thing plays out. But I don't foresee that. I wouldn't be shorting here. Okay. Why the system gives me such a hard time sometimes. 593.29. You tried to break over it. You were unable to. The 8-day, you're having an issue, and you're just sitting in here. I do find it interesting that you're only down a couple dollars. And, based upon that, I don't know why. Again, this is giving me a hard time today. This is not the day to give me a hard time. Okay. So in regards to this, I'm kind of shocked that that's all we're down. So if that's all you're down, then that's definitely something to consider and to look at. So let's go from there. But I don't see any reason to rush into this. I'm still forming that wedge line. Like, you can still see this wedge line here, right? So just consider that. PAYC. Hey, Jared. PAYC. So you come right to that 471.25 level, 466, and then you just start looking like you're going to break out. It looks like you got this little dot here. I don't know how real this is. I don't know how real a lot of these bids are that we're seeing out there. That's why I'm saying you have to really see the open. You can't just trade off of what you're seeing pre-market, right? I mean, if I was short things, I would be closing them pre-market. I would not be adding to new positions pre-market, or selling into stocks pre-market on levels that you might never see before. You're going to have to see what happens here, Jared, but I would watch this level right there, 461.13. If you break that and we panic, you could go to 441 fairly quickly. Hey, Mateo. Amazon? Yeah, I love Amazon, but is today the day? Probably not. Look, they're a retailer essentially, right? And everybody thinks that the stock is, the next golden child, and it probably is, right? Everyone thinks it's just going to keep going up and up and up. But if retail sales slow and the people start worrying about the economy, you're going to have issues. And, that's something to, something to think about. And I really think that what they need to do here is, look, this is not going to go well across the board, right? Like there's just more and more stuff happening, right? Now you have a financial issue on top of other issues, and we're going to need some regulatory stuff to come out. And I don't know if it's going to come out anytime soon, but that said, what I would be looking at here is something like this. If this gets absolutely crushed, yeah, you could take a look at it. But that said, look at this. Okay. You could easily come down to this level, 3,300. Like you could come down there like it's nothing. So that can happen. It can always get worse, right? It can always get worse. A firm I went over, Zane, I would, I watch your 105 level. After that, 102. It's not something I'd be buying here. Well, Snow has probably one of the highest price sales ratios out there of any stock out there, right? So if something's going to get hit, and you can just see how it's been grinding up, and this is why it's so important to leave these levels in. You can just see at a glance what happened. How low can this go? It can go a lot lower. I mean, to me, like this rising wedge is pretty clear what could happen here. So for me, I think you're looking at 305. I think you could see 305 and then kind of go from there. Yeah, I don't see the reason to jump in. I mean, but I'm going to be on the long side. You're welcome, Larry. SDC. Hey, Nad. Yeah, I would totally be. I'm on the long side. I'm not out there looking for things to short. That doesn't mean that I'm buying everything off the open, right? I'm going to have to see how this all plays out and go from there. I mean, that's really what I have to do. So, yeah, I'd be cautious with something like this today. Could this work today? Sure. I mean, it's going to be kind of separate from what's going on because it's a smaller cap name. Could it work today? Yeah. I mean, I don't know that today's the day that I'd really be playing this, but could this go today? Sure. It absolutely could. Qdo? Sure. Okay. So you're trying to get through this. And when you get through this average, okay, you're really trying. It looks like you closed over it and now you're down below. Looks like when you get over and close over this average, you have 161 here. So you have a couple levels, Susan. The very first one you're going to have to watch is 154.88. And if you get over 154.88, you should be able to get to 161. So keep that in mind. I mean, that's how I would look at it. Very rarely I'm sitting on the sidelines. I always have something going on. Money's always moving. There's always an opportunity to make money. A lot of people have very different styles. My style is not complacency. I just don't sit on the sidelines. And I know a lot of people that do. I just move my stops up and I get used to just being chopped up if it happens and then just move forward. But it allows me to position myself a little differently than people that are waiting for something to happen. Right. So I'd rather buy Tesla at 7:30 today and then get stopped out than have it go to 7:50 by the end of the day. Just the way that I trade. Everybody's different. You're welcome, Raj. The shorts are over. I mean, you're done shorting, in my opinion, unless they trade up. Like if you see Citigroup for some reason trade back to flat, or you see Goldman trade the flat, something like that, then yeah, you can absolutely be putting shorts on. Other than that short's over. It's already happened. So I prefer late and right than wrong. Yeah, everybody's different. Everybody's completely different. So I like trading in markets like this. I actually love it. I like what you know, the panic, and because people just they get irrational, and you can have, if you're, when people get irrational, if you can be rational and have a plan, you have an edge. Okay. Overall, I like confirmation on trades. Look how long I waited before planter, but when you have opportunity and I smell blood in the water, I have a very strong interest in trading in that. BRKS. So there's your trend line. And they just have to see how we act. And if we can flip that and get over this, right? That's it. But it looks good. It just, we have to see how you do today. Amazon, I did, Jason. Hopefully you heard me. My buy list today is Tesla, Nike. You know, Nike has earnings coming out, right? Boca. Amazon, I'd be careful of. Let me just go. Tesla, yes. Nike, you have earnings. Disney, I think you're fine if you're looking long-term. Costco, fine long-term. Amazon can get to 3,300. Okay. But if you want to build and buy, today's your day. Like if you're looking to buy and you're looking out longer term, like you're looking out a year, today's your day. Like this is what you're looking for, not the hope that we might correct 20%. Today's your day. REML, I don't know off the top of my head. The others, I pretty much have the patterns memorized. You know, Credit Suisse, X-Links, I don't know what the heck this is. I'd be very careful. I don't know what this is, so I can't advise or really refer on this. I'd be very careful owning anything that Credit Suisse has, anything that Credit Suisse has right now. Okay, anything, because there's some exposure to what's going on in Evergrande, and I don't know what's behind this. You may know what's actually the holdings are of this. I have no idea. And I don't know if I'm going to get a nasty red bar one day. Maybe this is paying you a yield and that's why you're interested in it. But that's not something that I would be jumping into here. Yeah, time. I mean, what are you waiting for, Craig? I mean, I hate to be that blunt with it, but what are you waiting for? Like, what's the game plan? If you don't have a game plan, right? If you don't have a game plan, you're just hit. This is going to go here. You're going to go to 60, 260. Okay. I mean, that's pretty clear what's happening here, right? We can kind of see this, that's what's going to happen with this trade. So what's my hurry here? I don't have one. So you're just going to have to watch and wait if you want to. But to me, if I was in this at 290, I'd be out. Like I don't waste, you don't want to waste the energy, right? Like, look, I'm in this. And I added a position. I'll give you an example. I added a position on Friday, okay? Because the news that came out was fake news. Like, I hate to use that term, but it was news that was not germane to this company. Let me put it to you that way. So what I did was I bought it. Now this is my issue. I bought it at 93. I thought I was set. I'm coming in at 86. What do? I see how I trade off the open. If I don't like the action, I'm out. Take the loss, regroup, and go look for opportunity. Okay, you expend, and a lot of people do this, Craig, and I'm going to spend time on this, and I'll stay a couple minutes longer since I started later. But you know, and I know today people are like pretty stressed out. So, but in regards to this, if your trade's not working, you're spending a lot of energy holding something that's not working and staring at it and waiting for it to work. It just cut it, move on to the next trade. This is going here. This is, I can almost put my watch on it. This is going here. PANW. So I'll stay for an extra 5 minutes today. Just you can just keep throwing them out. I'll try to get through everyone's ideas. I know it's a very stressful day. So look, you're probably going to this 460. This is not broken. This is presenting an opportunity. If something's going to bounce, this is probably going to bounce, right? I mean, crushed numbers. We all remember this, right? Crushed numbers. So this is what you want to look for. These are the kinds of trades you want to find. High beta names that had great earnings that just happen to be breaking down because of nonsense. I don't know how else to refer to it besides nonsense. I mean, like, how did we not see this coming again? It's just ridiculous. So CMCSA. Okay. I don't see any reason to be getting in this. Was that earnings? No. I don't know why we had the drop. I don't see any reason to be buying this. I mean, I have an H. Maybe the H holds. If you really want to buy it over this 57, 50. I'd call it 58. I'd be looking at it over 58. Craig, I hope I was clear with that as to why I'd be out. If not, please comment and I'll put my email up there. Hey, I don't know where Riga. Roland, where is Riga? I love the internet. This is so freaking cool. I know I sound like a geek, but I love it. ATER and Clove. So I like this trade still. This is one we did, and we had it in the pre-market newsletter. And you're seeing a decent move, right? We came up here, we rejected, but I don't think this is over. I don't know if today's your day, Roland, but I don't think you're over here. I think you could trade up and move, and that's what you're going to watch. You just watch this 8-day and watch this 1336 level. And what was the other one that you asked about? A Clove. Yeah, that's still on my list, but I'm not set on that one. This one looks like it might be over. I like the ATER trade. I like the fact, see the difference between ATER, see this Clove, see you had this huge parabolic move and then you got everybody in and out, right? You had a move here, but this was slow. This was not parabolic and over. Same thing here. So you don't really have something like that. So this can go. The ATER, I think, is a better idea. ZS. So ZS looks like you have a little bit of an issue here. So you have your nasty red bar. So you have your bearish engulfing right here. And then you start building this bull flag out. And now you're below the 21 and the 8. So I mean, do I think the trade's over? No, I think you're probably, and you can see how like this bearish engulfing pattern usually picks a short-term top and then you correct for like a month, right? You can see it here again. So when you see patterns like this that are just replicating themselves over and over again, you need to pay attention. Like here's one, right? So what does that mean? It means that you're probably going to the 50-day. You could get down to this 250 level, 253 level. And I think that's how you have to look at stocks this morning. You have to look at stocks, what you're going to buy, okay? And where your levels are going to be. ZIM, I would say that you need to hold here. I don't know that you're going to hold here, right? You closed at, okay, so this thing's giving me an issue. It's really starting to annoy me. Okay. So I don't know why this thing's giving me such a hard time today, but this is getting old. Give me 1 second. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's the browser I'm on. So usually it doesn't glitch this bad. So maybe too many people are on it. 56, look, you're looking at, you're going right to this level. If you break this, you're going to here. I don't think you're breaking 54 today. I really don't. You know, I actually think some of the lows on this are going to be, you know, bottoms. I really do. You know, this is, look, I actually think some of the lows that you're going to see might actually be pre-market on some of these names. Someone keeps asking me about this and, you know, I don't see any reason to do anything here, like nothing. There's nothing redeeming about this. I know they had some news hit, but there's nothing that has me going there. Yeah, cost has earnings this week. Yeah, you need to watch that. You don't want to be buying stuff in the earnings. Thanks, Brandon. I hope Boca saw that. Do you have any suggestions what to buy at or close to open, such as, do you have any suggestions as what to buy at or close to open, such as CELH? So what would I do with CELH? So to me, I'm in it. I want to see what happens off the open. I'm in no hurry here, right? For all I know, I'm going to gap fill and go back up by 12 o'clock. I mean, you have to realize that when the European markets close, the U.S. markets usually rally on days like today. So you might want to remember that statement. When the European markets close, U.S. markets usually rally on days like today. So you just kind of have to watch that and see how that's going to play out. To me, if you're asking about just in regards to CELH, I would just see how it opens. I mean, to me, this is ridiculous. It's a fire sale, right? I was down 7-8%. I'm down 5%. And you have to start looking at that. Like, as we've talked for the past 45 minutes, one thing you can always do is just say, well, this was at 7:30, 7:28 this morning. I'm at 7:34 already. Maybe I should start looking at what I'm going to buy, right? So you start going through your orders and you start looking at the stocks that you were interested in and the list that you created. And you start seeing like, hey, these looks like they're going to bounce, or hey, these look like they're going to be weaker, right? And then you watch your pre-market levels and then you can make decisions from there. I hope that's clear, Susan. If not, let me know. There's always a risk of that happening. Absolutely. I've got about a minute left here. Yeah, I mean, I know it's right. I don't even want to make the statement. Hey, Jern. All right, let me run through these real quick, and then I'm going to have to go here. RKLB, I would be out of. You're probably going back down to here 13. This is not something I would be in. So let me just run through this. PAG, FNGU, and then I'm going to have to hop off here and get ready. So, yeah, I think you're fine there. I think you are absolutely fine here. This is a really great way to play the entire market today. FNGU, right? If you want to own large cap stocks and you've been looking at this, right? This is a pretty decent correction on this, and you're looking for a bounce. This is a really easy way to play it. Oh, cool. That's really cool. You got to love the internet. VIR. So VIR, look, you're breaking out here, right? You're trying. I guess you're waiting for one of these. This does not look awful. I don't know if today's your day, but you must be waiting for news, right? CELH. I like CELH. I mean, look, if I didn't have this huge position in it, and now I do have a big position in it, I didn't expect this for obvious reasons, right? I mean, for what I read about Evergrande, but I didn't even bring it up last night because I didn't even think it was going to be that big of an issue. Obviously they're going to make a bigger issue. It looks to me like they want the market to go down. It seems like people are looking for a reason to sell. I don't view this as this awful thing like that's going to spread. I just don't see it yet unless, it's really in the US. I just don't see it, but we're going to have to see how this plays out. Now, in regards to that right here, you're probably heading down, maybe you get to 83, and I won't be involved in that. I won't be holding that long. But if I got back down to 83, I'd get back in it. So I wouldn't touch the Asian markets. I think they're going to have a real issue. You can only erode consumer confidence in your investments for so long. And then people are just like, that's enough, right? Even if Wall Street wants to shove them down our throat. Yes, but high beta. So you want to look for high beta names like Apple, Microsoft, Google. You'll see money flow into those. But think like UPST, think Tesla, names like that, ASAN, names that people missed that want to be in. That's where you'll see money go. I would not be selling Google into this, Liliana. I wouldn't be doing that. NIO. I'm going to do NIO, and then I'm going to have to go here, everybody. So I wouldn't go near this. To me, this is just an outright short. Anytime it rallies, you should be shorting it. So, all right, everybody, I am out of here. If you need me, just reach out. As always, I have that email banner in here somewhere. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Just email me if there's something you want to go over. All right, everybody have a great day. Honor your positions, honor your stops, and don't panic.